every single layer of the American education system was designed so you won't know how big this trap is. The Antarctic Treaty is, it stated that December 1959, Washington, D.C., the treaty entered into force on 23rd June 1961. Okay, these are really interesting dates, 59 and 61. The 12 signatories became the original 12 consultative nations. Consultative, okay? Watch the words as I read here. You're going to catch some tricks here. Since 1959, 44 other countries have acceded to the treaty. 29 nations, Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Bulgaria, Chile, China, what was that? Czechia? Of course, that's how we say that. Okay, Ecuador, Finland, France, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Sweden, Ukraine, United Kingdom, United States, and Uruguay have achieved consultative status by conducting substantial scientific research in Antarctica. Russia carries forward the signatory privileges and responsibility established by the former Soviet Union. Okay, wait a minute. Let's look at that again. Russia carries forward the signatory privileges and responsibility established by the former Soviet Union. Okay, so Russia is what we're calling the former Soviet Union in 1959. Okay, now we'll go to the next section here. You can all read it for yourself, I assume. But notice that Russia, when you get into this baby, is called the Republic, isn't it? Did you notice that, Asha? It's called the what?
And the
Federation, Federation, and the Republic. Wait a minute. How'd we miss that? We missed that one. Anyway, what you're going to notice is there's a few countries on here now. So what are we up to? 80 countries now have signed this Antarctic Treaty as of today. And some countries have not. Now, why is everybody so interested in Antarctica, as I've said, and so forth? So what's going on down there, Asha? What could possibly be going on that we need a treaty that says in its charter, preamble, that these are the rules of being down there. It's only for peaceful purposes only. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. 2, the present treaty shall not prevent the use of military personnel or equipment to scientific research or for any other peaceful purposes. Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and cooperation toward that end as applied during the International Geophysical Year shall continue subject to the provisions of the present treaty. Geophysical year. Tricky little word there, isn't it? So you're seeing the deception yet?
Also, though, they say that they are not allowed to establish a military base, and yet Russia has a military base there.
That's right. Very good. Good. I can cut to the chase. Now, what's fun about this, and Asha will get me on page, but what's fun now is why don't we go try and get in a grant? Should we apply for a grant?
Let's do it.
I think we should. I think that we should go on the PRQ one. And so if we were going to, let's say, so how do you tell everybody that there's a bigger area on the planet without telling them? How do you do it?
Well, you could be like Iran and not be a member of the Antarctic Treaty, but declare ownership of Antarctica and plan to build a military base in the South Pole. Would that do it?
Yeah, so now the U.S. Congress has adopted this treaty for the U.S. people. Now, Congress, they would not lie to us, would they? There could be no deception in our Congress, could there?
Never.
Anyway, go to find funding and apply is my suggestion. And what you're going to find is, what's my best George Carlin? You want some real fresh bullshit? Okay. So what you're going to find there is almost every project is garbage. And then you're going to find one that says multi-dimensional communication, a grant file, and just have fun with it. Go find funding at our favorite debaucherous webpage here, U.S. National Science Foundation. And you're going to see that much of the science grants are all garbage. And then they'll throw in one that is not garbage and has to do with communicating with people from other worlds. So not sure how they correspond. I do love talking to animals and so forth, so that is included. But certainly there's some pretty interesting stuff there if you want to dig into it. But please lead me a little better if you don't mind.
Thank you for sharing all that. In the old map system, they say that there were unusual creatures beyond the ice wall, and they described them as monsters and alien type beings. What do you think's down there?
No, I don't know. I'm scared now.
Well, some people should be scared, but
yeah. So, okay. So, fortunately and unfortunately, it is a tremendous responsibility I have to be autonomous from any association. To get this much leash is a great honor, and know my next words and all my words that I do on the show, I take great care, and we have a lot of checks and balances. And I'm sorry to inform you that all of your navigation systems are a lie. Your scale of your planet's all a lie. Everything's a complete lie regarding latitude and longitude. Yes, you can navigate very well within the cenote you're in with the scalability of your latitude and longitude, but it does not prove the scale of a mile. And I ask everyone, how do you prove how far a mile is? What is it scaled by? How do you measure a mile? Who created the measurement tool is what I'm saying. Who created the ruler? Who created the measurement of time? And so that's why all your education system is going to collapse now because of my exact words and many other people's words. This is, again, if I'm right about one of four things, then I'm right about all of them. There's no such thing as time. Magnetics is an explanation of acceleration. We can do this all day, can't we? Gravity doesn't suck. The sun's not hot. If I'm right about one of them, I'm right about all of them. That means someone has worked really hard to do a duping all the way through your collegiate system and control your minds with the measurement of wealth, the measurement of distance, the measurement of time, the measurement of a day, a calendar year, etc. All for what I'm going to tell you today, that I've been telling you for, looks like now, a couple years, maybe decades, through songs, culture, love of life. I have a humongous responsibility. If I really claim to be someone who's been off this planet, looking back at it. The individuals that live outside of your area are incredibly different from you. Are there animals that can communicate with you outside of your area and could download you the history of the universe? There is. Are there individuals that look like you that make you like, and I don't care if you're Albert Einstein, make you look like a blithering idiot? Yes, there is. Are there individuals outside your area that if you come across them, they could download you and create a level of ascension you couldn't believe because they live at a higher frequency? Are some of these beings so profoundly grotesque to you and yet so loving? Yes. Yes, that's true. Are there the wildest diversity you could ever imagine? There is. Are the stories about Atlantis true? Portions, yes. And the diversity that I speak of is right around the corner, and we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do here. The reason the Russian government is the only ones capable of communicating with them is because they're the only ones capable of communicating with them. Now, the diversity of technology is vast, very vast. And there's no way we're ready to get a box of matches from these folks. But they're ready. They're all ready. Are there bad guys? Yep. Are there good guys? Yep. Are there different agendas? Sure is. Are some of those folks over here? They sure are. Most of them stay over there? They do. Do they consider us aliens? Absolutely. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Mainly our massive capability and our lack of capability now. I'll say it again. They consider us unbelievable masters with absolutely none of our capabilities in our bodies yet. I'll leave it at that.
Are they fully aware of how that came to be?
That's the problem. That's why they consider us engineered slaves that are not slaves from the core and or source. They know that we were brought here, engineered and duped into our consciousness jumping into the body, trapped. That's why scale is so important when you look at the revolving door of soul traps of reincarnation. The reincarnation is an alien technology, and the aliens defend themselves from these clowns. These aliens over here, if you will, that's us, are considered clowns. They're playing a game that you're not going to win. Very, very difficult observation, I'm sure, for some of us, but you have to keep asking yourself, why do we have a United States Space Force? One of the reasons you can't fly an airplane to Antarctica is the airplanes have been engineered so they don't have enough fuel. It's real simple. How come nobody goes around Antarctica? Why don't we fly from South Africa to Australia? Wouldn't it be shorter? No? Okay. It's supposed to be shorter based on the math I was given. It should just be, so we don't fly that way. Well, that's because it's a very large area, as you can imagine. In fact, the reason you're hearing pilots state, sure, we understand we've been duped about latitude and longitude, the Earth's flat, but it's so big, you can't see the curvature of the Earth at 30,000 feet. You would be able to based on the scaling models of how high you need to be to see another mile. And then, of course, your eyes have been engineered to plot even more. Your eyes are supposed to be quite a bit different. Did you notice that there is a Cataract Institute, a lens and glass store every quarter mile in America? It looks like everybody's losing their eyesight. Everyone's wearing glasses.
Have you noticed most children from 6 months to 5 years are wearing glasses now?
Yep. So that is that's proof of the engineering to slow us down and or not see the other dimensional facets we're typically capable of. Notice how dogs chase ghosts around your house or cats and so forth. That would be more normal for us. And so it is a big story, and there's a lot of upside to this. Don't get me wrong, but just getting comfortable with the fact that we don't know how big our planet is a really big step, in my opinion. And that's why I created this timeline for us to get on board and really start asking some tough questions about our education system, number one. And where do we want to start? Because I'd like this, as you know, would like to take the tablecloth off the table. And I think that's the best way to go. Just let the dishes fall, is my opinion.
Excellent. Thank you. Just to recap, because some people might get a little bit lost, the Earth is not flat. It is so massive that we're unable to see the curvature even from a plane. And that's what Kuster is explaining, is how they duped us. And now we're unduping the masses as best we can. Now, the Air Chief, United States Chief of the Air Staff, said the space is fundamental to our national security and to our way of life. Now, this ties into everything we've been talking about. So, first of all, they don't want anyone flying over that area. And first, would you be able to clear up how much bigger the rest of the planet is that we are unaware of?
That's what I would love to do. So not even I could give you the scalability, because it's all based on flawed metrics. But certainly, you're aware, I think a fair number would be, you're aware of about 20 to 30% of your landmass, somewhere in there. So the reason I say landmass is because you're on a water planet. And there's a tremendous amount of water here. And a lot of the areas on the planet might look like marshlands, maybe the legacy dinosaur pictures in your history museum and so forth. The volume of your planet is you're probably aware of maybe a good number would be about 10% of the scale of your planet. You may be a little less. So it's going to be tough information for everybody to realize it. And by the way, how are you going to get over there? You don't have any tools except what? Wait a minute. Maybe we do have vessels that can go. So the airplanes don't hold enough fuel, presumably. But what could go to the other side of the planet? Spaceship, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So to get the long distances, you have to use other technology. And that's, again, I know I'm jumping around a little bit here. The United States Space Shuttle program has been condemned because those were all fighter jets, fighter planes. And that's how they were doing. And so you had a residential side, as I'm sure you've heard me say, the show pony shuttles were just for entertainment. And then there was actually fleets of shuttles that were fighting. And eventually one of them got shot down, more than one of them got shot down while you were watching the TV. So that game got old real quick for somebody out there. I should say over there. And so that's why the space shuttle program was condemned. Not to say there's not bad guys on the other side of the planet. It's to say maybe we got to do this a little differently. And that's, I'll say maybe one of the reasons we have a United States Space Force.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll talk
couldn't
more
you, couldn't you just, what if you had a cenote on one side of the planet? And you want to just control the inhabitants there, your little aquarium, your little nativity scene.
So this is an important question. Thank you for that. What you just said is basically we're on a little island of this planet as prisoners. And there's, let's say, 90% of the rest of the planet we're unaware of that has very evolved beings that don't seem to be interested in helping us. Can you please comment on that?
Yeah, this is that guy's place. I'm not going to use names today. That'll be, of course, the first thing you want to know. What's their name? What do they look like? Okay, so who's done this? Happy to get to that story. Essentially, if you have a piece of property and you've homesteaded it, you can do whatever you want with it, can't you?
Yes, you can.
So you can raise pigs on your property. You can raise chickens. Maybe we'll get a batch of humans. Hey, let's do this. So that'd be my summary statement for what you are calling planet Earth. Yes.
So the lot that we inhabit is homesteaded for the aliens to raise their cattle.
Yeah, this is an engineering plant. And then the tools obviously are your societal tools. Make it just good enough so you can't really see outside the box, the trap. Get you to believe in false measurements, like wealth is one of their favorite. Time, identity, and wealth. If you can get all three, you're good to go. You will never know how to get out of the box.
Everything. Law, medical, education, health, it's all a lie.
Yes, unfortunately, I think I can't remember the gentleman that came out of NASA. He started chatting about this, and he disappeared real quick. Billy, can't remember Billy. He took some of the anti-gravitic technology we had at Area 51, and he was in charge of scaling it up and so forth. But what you have here is an opportunity now to end this. And the way, because how powerful you are, you can actually create this reality and have not only the frequency bands merge in the ascension cycle. That's what's going on here. And that's why the ascension terms you've been given are all lies too. So you are endlessly magnificent at getting out of these traps. You're super good at it. And now that you know that this information is there, and you start envisioning that the planet is bigger, it actually grows with you and or your awareness, which is how powerful source is you are. So now that you have this information in your field, you can go, okay, Asha and Q have been smoking some wacky tobacco. Okay. Or the way you work, your light will go, they're right. So the knowledge center you have in your heart, the more you use it, you can validate anything, anyone, anywhere. Does it feel right to you or does it not? Now, the not of space agencies have done a very good job of showing you movies and so forth. So I never want you to discredit the information that's been given to you, because some of it goes right up against the line of what hasn't been given to you. So there's a lot of games going on with the NASA crew, and there's a lot of games going on with your science. And so all the scientists that come up and figure this out, they're out of there. They're gone. All the astronomers who figured it out, they're all out. You're not going to get to the real A team. They've done a very good job of suppressing these guys, making sure they go broke or otherwise. Well, these folks, they live a very long time. You know, this is the big story. They don't care about anything going on here, as long as you don't know what I just told you today. They don't. If you guys figure this out, they know they're doomed. Well, there is a lot of people that have already figured it out, and we're ready to do something about it now.
So let's take Rockefeller and Rothschild. Those two funded World War I and World War II and made billions of dollars. And in Antarctica, there are places there, locations there, named after them. So they are somewhat emissaries, or what would you call them, representatives for the aliens down there, or at least they used to be. Can you please share more about that?
So again, we're the aliens would be my assessment. So I'm very careful with that word, because tenure you can't assign tenure based on description of a species, for me at least, because there's been so many coming and going. So much diversity has been here. Look at all the different types of animals are here. That would should be able to complement how many different kinds of high consciousness beings are here then. Look how many animals you have on your area. Look at the dolphins. Look at the whales. Don't you notice they're all talking to each other? So the individuals you mentioned would have a relationship with a particular bloodline, because that bloodline may have infused genetics here, which you might call aliens. I would call they're in the game. They know how old you are. They know what you are. They know everything about you, and they co-created with the two clowns you mentioned, those family bloodlines. This pen here. And so they had a liaison, they had a networking group, they have a relationship, they control this pig pen here. They've made mistakes along the lines. They've made mistakes in this version of humans. If you look at the domesticated pig, that's an example of how humans didn't quite get the genes right. You've heard of pigs eating their master sometimes. Well, some pigs had a lot of consciousness in them, et cetera, et cetera. So the short version is they wanted to be ambassadors for the pig pen to a race of beings on the other side. That's correct.
Thank you. Also, if you look at a map of Antarctica, you're going to see a Queen Victoria space, a princess space. There's the royals have also actually taken over a lot of that naming of the land. So they would probably also be ambassadors for these beings. Would you like to share anything about that?
Right. So this is how hierarchical systems started getting managed and grown is to create the hierarchies are important for these folks so that they have rank and file. And especially when you're dealing with a series of genetics too. So some of them would consider a continent where they have created population control. Australia is a great one. They've created population control because they would consider that is theirs. Okay, so when you look at Australia, you say, "Oh no, they're all convicts down there." No, they shipped the genetics they wanted to that island and now controlled the volume of people and things that are going to come in there. Try and get an animal into Australia. Pretty soon it's going to be very difficult for people to leave Australia. So there's no people there either. So that's an example of what each monarchy and or hierarchical system would do their best to own. And sometimes they don't get along. But that's pretty much what you're seeing, what you're calling the area of Earth now, is that was my area. And by the way, those are my pigs. And so I want that area for mine. So some of those compartments are still visible today.
Thank you. Great description. And for example, in Australia, and we're not saying every single person there, but the genetics and the programming down there has allowed them to actually use those bodies. So, and I will call these beings aliens that will jump into those bodies and use them to try and make the ascension. Would you like to share anything about that?
Right. So one of your tools you have here is, if you use the Egyptian pyramids, I can take your body, as you've heard me say, I can wrap it up, I can preserve it, and I can take your consciousness and jump. So you've seen the articles on forthepeople.space about Westworld, cloning, what have you. You can take a body, suspend it, you can put it in, can hibernate it many different ways, and then have your spirit jump. Well, if you wanted to come to the party over here, that's one of the that's one of the hierarchical groups' goal, is to just manufacture bodies that they can come and play with and then go back home. So this is a little playground here for what you might call soul jumping, spirit jumping, whatever word you like there. And by the way, they created the linguistic, this body of linguistics, so I can't explain it thoroughly. These are soul cages. Well, for them, it's a playground. So they've now gotten to a level of engineering where they can segregate bloodlines and be a 10 and keep you at a 1. So now when you get over here, you can have a heyday with us. That's more or less how I would describe it.
Thank you. But at the same time, their plan cannot work because they do not comprehend the spirit or the heart or ascension.
Right. So here now, the true ascension would be, we figured this out. And because we're so powerful, see, they are not as powerful as us, even though they're pretending to be now, because they've made a jacket for us and we're unaware of the trap. So they've given you dimensional realities linearly so that you'll think you have to climb upstairs. That's not true at all. It's right in you right now. You have everything you need, everything you'll ever need right now. And they don't. So they're just getting you to play with them is all that's happening. They may have, this is about the capability they have compared to you, about 2%, maybe arguably 5% on a great day, because they don't have a source coming from them. They don't have light. They have a portion, but they don't utilize it to the magnitude that we're capable of. I hope that helps.
Thank you. It's like the kindergarten bully who's stealing all the lunch money from all the good kids, and they don't have any lunch money without the good kids. So they're please remember, they're not as powerful as us, but we have to remember our power.
Right. And so this is why I'm so outspoken, tuckered out, maybe to a degree. When you use your heart center to make decisions, they're not capable of doing that. That's our horsepower. So they're good at utilizing mind, emotions to control our timelines so that we don't use our heart-based, our proper tools, if you will. They know if you keep us distracted and we don't use our heart, we won't grow out of those DNA restrictions, as an example. So it's very difficult to explain, but essentially they're observing us and making moves as we do, because we're starting to figure out the puzzle here. And because we're so powerful, they can't really govern us for as long as you think. 2,000 years for me is about 5 minutes. So you're all still here and the bodies are changing and you keep jumping into another body, jumping into another body, jumping into another body, but you're still the same person to me. And that's what I'm doing my best to explain if we can, when we can. But I thank you so much, Asha, for keep steering me, please.
Thank you. Just one more thing about the pyramids. It does appear that there are pyramids in Antarctica.
Yeah, so that was very normal to have. Certainly in Australia, there are pyramids, Russia, China, everywhere. So there are many tools. You can use them in many different ways. They're underwater. They're in America. Hey, they're even on the US dollar. Why would there be a pyramid on the US dollar? Wow.
And how are they used in Antarctica?
So again, you can use them primarily for portals. So instead of a spaceship, I can just jump. You can use them as jump rooms. You can use them for communication. You can use them for transferring of your planet's power. You can do a lot with them. You can create vortices. You can create, and you can turn them on and off. You can make power supplies. You can. There are tremendous healing rooms. Recalibration rooms is what I would prefer. We use recalibration, reconfiguration rooms. So, if you went into sections of the pyramid that were designed, depending on what type of pyramid, were designed for healing. You would phase more of your light into physicality, and should make sense now. You're not allowed in any pyramids, are you?
No.
They're national monuments, but you're not allowed to go on them. Now, I've been on top of pyramids, and there's a reason why they'll cap the top of them. They usually do something with the top of them to distract you. The one that is still energized pretty strongly is if you go to Chichen Itza. They have put a jaguar on the top of the primary pyramid there, because everybody who went on top of it before the jaguar was there was getting a download of all the knowledge in the universe. And somebody caught wind of that and said, well, let's put a really beautiful jade jaguar. Now it's all chained up. You can go look it up for yourself. So you're not allowed to. Now, if you would get that jaguar out of there, everyone would go through some phase of enlightenment. Now, I can prove it because I've been on top of that pyramid, and it works, and it really works. So what the concern would be is everybody's going to know everything. Okay, so I've been asked many times, what's it like to know everything? Peaceful. Because you realize that there is nothing more than the expression and experience of the next experience and expression that you desire. That's what it's like to know everything. Nothing but peace.
Thank you so much for that. That's the most beautiful thing. And a lot of what these controllers would want is for us to be afraid of this information. But what Kuster just said is, when you just open to the truth, you feel that peace and you know everything. And that's where we're going. And this information the Q is giving you today is the open door to that. So instead of being fearful at all, just get excited about all the opportunities now that the truth is being revealed.
Yes, and the reason that is so important, if you have all your knowledge back, however you get there, that peace is the 100% light being in you. And now you're able to create the dimensional reality you desire in real time, being in a peaceful state. That's why this is the ultimate little trick here. So if I just make exciting choices, I'll get more exciting things in my life. Everyone can get there. We understand that. But when you're at peace and through your heart center in every choice of every day, then it breaks down. The walls of your prison cell are going to break down, I guarantee you.
And you are living proof of that. Thank you. There was another thing I came across in these maps. They suggested that beyond this ice wall was a sound egg, and that it had some sort of power with the water and the sound. Would you be able to enlighten us on that?
Right. So you can use them proactively and destructively. So many people are unaware that there has been many sound devices used in war here. You can use scalar as a weapon. You can use scalar as a healing tool. Most of the sound eggs are for recalibration and reconfiguration of a geography, and or repair, maybe is one way to use it. And that's why you see some of these bad guys destroying this area. So there's so many nuclear bombs being set off here. They're not too scared of that, because they know that they can clean up the area again. But by the way, it's such a small area to them. My words probably don't really match with the technology, because they have many areas they can do other things with. And so this is just the pig pen. We don't really care about the outcome. Anyway, the sound eggs are also incredible transmitters of information. Tremendous. And so when you hear people talk about Nikola Tesla talking to people off planet on how he was going to distribute, whether it be alternating current or direct current, he would relay messages that way. And he would perceive them as off-planet people because they weren't in this area, but they were actually on his planet on the other side of the planet. Well, this is the tough part for humanity now, is how do we tell everybody they've been duped for their entire life, and tell them they've actually been duped for 2,000 years? How are you going to do that?
Sure.
And who's going to be the one to do it? So who is going to tell the story? Instantly, if you isolate the storyteller, you can now throw stones at him, can't you? I might know something about that.
Yeah.
And you can create propaganda to oppose the information. So if, as an example, the United States Space Force comes back, hey guys, the planet's bigger than we thought. Sorry, we lied to you. Now they're the bad guys as well, because they're in the game too. See, they've made everybody in the game, so no one person cannot get out of the blame game. But more importantly, you can address propaganda much. You get 2 for 1 every time you have an identity and someone exposing the information. Knowing that all your education is flawed, the Trump family, the Kennedys, all of them know that we have to figure out how to come together as a collective. So that's basically what that tool is for, is to not, there's no one hero here, and there's no one enemy, and there's no collusion with informing people. I'm not trying to give you another Bible. I'm telling you, this is what's out there. Most sailors know that. A lot of times you'll hear guys, professional sailors, they'll say, hey, I'm going up the hill. That's because they know that they're climbing over that bubble. So if you look at the deep sea vessels that go from, let's say, LA to Tokyo, they actually go straight towards Alaska. They go straight, and it's called the Great Circle, because they're going around that space because they figured out it's faster, i.e. latitude, longitude is a lie, but it's faster to go around the hill, or at least over the hill that direction, because the water will not change. It anneals to each other. It wants to stay together. So yes, the weather game is very intriguing. Deception, especially the ice, because that also keeps you away from Antarctica and the North Pole, doesn't it? We got to protect it. Don't go over there, you guys. We got to be careful of our precious ice. So that's what the climate game is about. Again, it's tough to catch these guys when they're leaving your planet, and a lot of games going on. I'm so sorry to be the informant and the party pooper, but there's a lot, as you said, there's a lot of opportunities here.
Thank you. And it's interesting that a lot of these climate hoaxers are announcing on their Twitter and X that they're going to Antarctica. So we've got the chief of cryptography and the CEO of Ripple and the founder of World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, and Christine Lagarde, president of European Central Bank. They're all important meeting in Antarctica and next stop Antarctica. Just talking about, they're exposing that they're going to Antarctica. So what's behind that? On top of John Kerry also saying that.
Do you think it has anything with me tattling on them about 4 months ago? How long was it ago? Do you think it has anything to do with me? Maybe a little bit.
Maybe people don't realize that every time you say something, it changes the news. It changes everything.
So I think the show we did, I said, let's create a timeline. Let's get this things going. And I threatened these folks in a way that was positive. I'm going to give you guys all a chance to tell everybody what's going on, and it's better come from you because you guys are the deceivers. And now we get a consortium saying, hey, it was us. We're bad people, and this is how it happens, and this is why we did it. Please forgive us. That would be the goal, right? Now you can see how they've adjusted to the narrative, and now they want to still try and control the narrative because they don't feel we can handle it. They don't think we're intelligent, number one. Number two, they understand the lineage here, and they consider owners. They consider that they own us. Many just different agendas. But as you can see, we can use this in a positive way too. So don't ever underestimate the good guys can use all of these agendas in the same way. So the bad guys can make fake stories, and so can the good guys, huh? When you look at a conscious computer, and so that was probably the toughest thing for a lot of the science community and engineers when they started looking at the conscious gateways. They went, "Oh no, how are we going to tell everybody? How do we do this?" Okay, so you got to do it in a way that makes it, again, you can't come from one direction, can it? Because now you're playing God in a way, aren't you?
Right.
So that's what's tricky about conscious gateways. It's got all the information. We got everything. So how do I get it to the people so that it's digestible? We could argue it's going too slow or too fast, but at least it's moving. So I am happy that. But when you have so much information, how do you explain the duping here? And the Q posts were one of those tools. And so that's why your internet is still up. You get to catch some bad guys at the same time, filling us full of garbage. So it is very positive moves. And so just look at this as a marathon and not a race. And I hope this has helped today.